Check out this free video and make sure you hit like and subscribe. And then we had the main event, which was Punk and Seth in a cage match. And we were talking about that Ospreay-Fletcher match.
Yeah.
And how they kicked out of all these finishes.
Yeah, they did the same thing here.
It was like these guys said, you know what? We can't stab each other with a screwdriver on Netflix. And we can't both bleed. But you know what we could do? Kick out of each other's finishers 50 times.
Well, so the deal is, okay, I do not know this, but I do know, it's one thing that I know is I know Paul Heyman's fingerprints better than almost anyone. And this is a Paul Heyman match.
Well, he was out there at the end.
Well, obviously the angle's a Paul Heyman angle. That I mean, I think everyone knows that. But this is like this is Paul Heyman style match, which is what, basically you do finishers over and over and over again. Because think of all the Brock Lesnar matches, that were big. It's like you in WWE, the fans are built to react to certain moves that you pre-program to, not to do the, if you go and do the usual wrestling match that they do in WWE, the people sit there until you start exchanging finishes, and then they go crazy. This is awesome. This is awesome. That's a WWE crowd now. So in this case, it's kind of like, just do it from early on. We're just going to kick out of the finish over and over and over again. And I thought this match was super exciting. I thought it was so good. But, and again, the angle at the end was fantastic, but you do that match where you're kicking out of these finishers, like, probably what, eight finishers kicked out probably total?
Well, I can tell you right now we had actually, I do want to say one thing this was a really good match. And my favorite part of this match is Punk hits an elbow off the top. He hits a second elbow off the top. The fans chant one more time, and so he hits a third one, and Seth kicks out. So then Punk climbs up to the top of the cage, and I thought, you're too old to do this, dude. And then Seth starts climbing up to the top of the cage. And I'm like, oh, my God, what are these two guys going to do? They're up there on the top.
Well, I kind of figured it would be a superplex because that's the Hogan boss.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's what was clever about it. They end up fighting up there, and then Seth kind of ends up climbing down, and he ends up standing on the top rope, and he grabs Punk. And so Punk is kind of draped on the top of the cage, but really Seth is only standing on the top rope. So essentially he just gave him a top rope superplex,
right?
Which we see regularly, not regularly, but you see it every now and then when they go all the way to the very top.
You see it in every car, every pay-per-view card. You probably see one.
Well, sure, yeah. But the point is, I mean, this place went fucking nuts. Like, they saw this as a suplex off the top of the cage. The announcers called it suplex off the top of the cage. And I was like, that was not off the top of the cage. That was a suplex. But the point is, they did something very, very safe. But, like, the illusion caused the fans to lose their shit, thinking they just saw a guy get superplexed off the top of the cage. I was very impressed.
Yeah.
So anyway...
But that's the Hogan Bossman spot. That's like a classic spot on WWE from Saturday Night's Main Event.
So they're doing all these spots here, and then finally there's a GTS, but Punk doesn't cover. So he ends up going for a second GTS. He hits it. Seth kicks out. He kicks out of another GTS. That's two GTSs.
Three.
Punk hits Rollins with
Three.
Well, he didn't cover the first one. So he kicks out of two GTS. Punk hits Rollins with a stomp, kicks out of the stomp. Then they tease going out of the ring, and Punk's going to walk out, but Seth screams, if you want this, come take it, you asshole. So Punk comes back in, Seth grabs him, hits him with his own GTS, hits another stomp. Punk kicks out again. Seth then goes up top. He hits a super stomp off the middle rope. And at this point, he just starts sitting in the corner. He's finally finished this man off. And if you recall... Punk beat him at the Netflix debut. Punk beat him the second time they wrestled. This is allegedly the blow-off. Seth's finally going to get his win. He stomps this guy. He does the super stomp. And before he can make the cover, Roman Reigns comes down, and he yanks him out of the ring. And so Seth wins.
That's how Seth won.
But even though Seth won... The point is, Roman prevented him from being able to pin CM Punk.
Yes.
which is all he wanted to do. So Roman screws this guy out of his pin. He then Superman punches him. He spears him on the outside. He gives him a stomp on the floor since Seth stomped his brains out at the last show. And then he puts his head on the steps, and he's going to stomp him into the steps. But a bunch of geeks run down. They form the human shield so he can't get in there. So then Roman looks in the cage, and he sees who is in the cage cradling CM Punk but Paul Heyman. And so Roman gets in the ring. He grabs CM Punk, who, by the way, was massively over in MSG. But, man, he starts throwing this guy into the cage, and the fans are, like, cheering OTC. They're going crazy for Roman Reigns. He spears him. And
You know
then
what's interesting in the match? I mean, the Punk-Rollins match, even though they're both baby faces, the crowd totally took to Rollins as the heel until he kicked out of, like, that third GTS. And then all of a sudden they started going for Rollins for the first time, you know, like way deep in the match. So I guess that was interesting. You know, I guess it was had to do with him kicking out of finishers.
Are you heading to Las Vegas for WrestleMania? If so, clear some time on the calendar because we have a lot of great events. It's our annual convention, the WrestlingObserver.com/F4W online convention in Las Vegas this year on WrestleMania weekend. April 18th, Friday, April 19th and 20th. We got special events every day. Friday will be the Dave Meltzer, Bryan Alvarez live Q&A. You can show up. We've got a meet and greet. Perhaps we'll have some merch. And you can ask us any question that you would like at the live Q&A. This will not appear as a podcast, a video podcast, audio podcast. You can only see and hear the Dave Meltzer, Bryan Alvarez Q&A if you attend live. That is April 18th at noon at the beautiful Palms Resort Casino in Las Vegas. We will also have wrestling watch parties. Have you ever wanted to watch wrestling with Dave Meltzer? 2 wrestling watch parties coming up that weekend, as well as 2 after parties. What is an after party? It's exactly what it sounds like. After WrestleMania, both nights, you'll be able to come back to a suite. I'll be there, Dave, a bunch of other friends and subscribers, and you'll get to party. We'll have alcohol, food, and more. These are the after parties after WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2. If you want to go, you got to buy your tickets now. Tickets available for everything at f4wonline.com/Vegas. Easy. f4wonline.com/Vegas. Did I mention we're going to have a group dinner at Texas Day Brazil? It's an all-you-can-eat steakhouse, all-you-can-eat steak. I hear some of you right now, I don't eat meat. Doesn't matter. They have the best salad bar you'll ever see. Texas Day Brazil. You can grab your tickets for that meet and greet / dinner as well. Where? f4wonline.com/Vegas. See you there.